Poisoning attacks Kali Linux. Armand Shahriarian. Poisoning attacks. One of the challenges we have is that most networks are switched. The device you are connecting to sends messages only to the network port where your recipient is located. In the old days, we used hubs. Whereas a switch is a unicast device, a hub is a broadcast device. Any message that came into a hub was sent out to all other ports in the hub, letting the endpoints figure out who the frame belonged to, based on the MAC address. There was no intelligence in the hub at all. It was simply a repeater. A switch changes all that. The switch reads the layer 2 header to determine the destination MAC address. It knows the port where the system that owns that MAC address is. It determines this by watching traffic coming into each port. The source MAC address gets attached to the port. The switch will commonly store these map pings in content addressable memory, CAM. Rather than having to scan through an entire table, the switch looks up the details by referring directly to the MAC address. This is the content that becomes the address the switch refers to in order to get the port information. Why is this relevant here? Because you will sometimes want to collect information from a system that you don't have access to. If you owned the network and had access to the switch, you may be able to configure the switch to forward traffic from one or more ports to another port. This would be a mirror, rather than a redirection. The recipient gets the traffic, but also a monitoring device or someone capturing traffic for analysis would get the packets. To obtain the messages you need if you can't get legitimate access to them, you can use a spoofing attack. In a SPOONG attack, you pretend to be someone you are not in order to get traffic. There are a couple of ways to do that, and we'll take a look at these different attacks. Ethics warning. While spoofing attacks are used by attackers, they are not something that you should be doing on a network you are testing, unless it falls into the scope of what you have said you would test against. There is the possibility of data loss using this technique.